Good morning, guys. It is November 1st. This is the day that all deer hunters dream about, and I'd love to be in a tree stand right now. It's about a little after 7 o'clock. But I just didn't have anything that I knew I wanted to go in on in the dark in the morning, stand on my back. I don't want to go in and just scout my way in the dark if I can help it. So I'm getting the last few things together, and we're going to go hit the woods and see. We'll sneak around a little bit and see what we can find. Maybe set up when we do. Stick with me. Alright guys, we're gonna make this quick, but there's a creek right there. It's too deep for rubber boots. I was here in the spring, it was a little higher then, but it still looks too deep. So I got my hip waders on. I'm gonna carry my lace-up boots across, and once I get started up the ridge a little bit, I'm gonna drop the waders here because they're a little noisy when you brush them together. And we're gonna kind of still hunt, scout our way in. This is a spot I scouted this side of the creek in the spring. You could tell there was deer in here, and I scouted back the other side from a different access point. That's when I found that match set of 2-year-old sheds. It's a pretty nice 10-pointer for a 2-year-old. So there was a lot of tree stands and pressure back that other side, so I'm hoping I can get away from that, but we'll see. I believe we're gonna have to find a shallower spot. That's pretty deep. Make this quick. I finally found my way across that creek, literally right in front of another guy's stand. And I started working up here towards the direction I wanted to, looking on the map. I had the wind in my favor the whole time. That's kind of why I decided to check this spot out, as I could walk with the wind in my face. I like doing that when I'm scouting. But I got into this thicker cover, and I haven't been finding a lot of buck sign, but I've been seeing some tracks, and even buck tracks, just no rubs or anything. But I found a bed or two, and I walked up on 2 bucks sparring. Looked like 2 1/2-year-olds, maybe a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. So I kind of grabbed some cover real quick and let out a few grunt calls after they worked off. And I was packing up, getting ready to kind of keep going, and either a fawn or a young doe come right at me. I mean, less than 10 yards on the ground, never saw me. I was standing there. I did have the sun at my back. It's about 9:30 right now. I'm gonna call a little bit and see if we can call something in. This is just a bedding area. I know that deer was going back to bed. I can't really tell what my wind's doing, but I crawled over here in like a little ditch. I'll pan around and show you in a second, but yeah, I just put my camera arm on the tree, just like I would if I was in a tree stand. We'll see if we can stir something up. I no more than shut that camera off. And it was a big mature doe coming right at me. We had to stare down at 10 yards forever. She blew and took off. So I don't know whether to stay or what. They came from the same direction as me. It's a lot of fun though. This is definitely a bedding area. I've been right here for about 30 minutes and I've seen 2 bucks and 4 does. We'll definitely be back in here. Alright guys, it's about 1:30 and we're gonna head back out. This morning was kind of rough. Never found the bottom of a creek, filled up my waders, but I did find a pretty good spot. But I'm gonna need a kayak to get across. Managed to lose my rangefinder. It's probably in the bottom of that creek, or it's where I made that little setup on the ground, but I feel like I put it in my pocket. So a buddy of mine up here is gonna let me borrow the kayak. I'll probably get it the next day or so and I'll get back in there. It sets up perfect for morning. You don't have to walk that far either, but getting across that creek is probably what's going to keep most people from getting in there. Now this afternoon, considering my waders are wet, I'm gonna have to hunt something more hardwoods, less swamp. So we'll see. I'd say we'll run into some people, but I'm gonna go up to where I found that nice 4-point shed. The last one I found, it was on a wide open hardwood ridge. It had been sun bleached pretty good, but it had a big frame, no brow tines hardly. But the next ridge over from there, I found some good sign back in the spring, so I'm gonna try and set up there. Depending on where you look for the weather, it's either gonna be a south or a west wind, so who knows? Excuse me. We'll check the wind when we get there and see what it's actually doing, but I should be able to get some kind of setup on a south or a west. So we got a little bit of a drive, probably 20 or 30 minutes. Stick with me. we finally made it in the tree. It was a fiasco as usual. There's more buck sign and even some big buck sign in this area than anything else I've looked at. But it's also the least unique. It's just hardwood ridges. I hate that. But I think we had to throw a few hunts at it. There was some good sign. We got a couple hours here. We'll sit tight, maybe we'll see something. I wish the wind would be more consistent, but that's hunting hill country. You get in these hills and these mountains and the wind almost has a mind of its own. I got a scrape about 30 yards behind me. Some big rubs out in front of me. And I scouted this in the spring. And there was good buck travel going this way. So it'd be coming from my right. He's running right to left and left to right. I think this would be a better morning spot, but I'll try and take a look at the wind and see. I'd say we'll be back in here somewhere in the morning. Well, I didn't do a closing interview in the tree, but all in all, we'll call that a successful night. I saw some really big rubs on my way in, going back towards the direction I went, which kind of strengthened my, belief that that was the spot to go. However, the wind was a little questionable, and I knew that, but if I would have seen a buck and he'd have been running the line that rub line that I saw in the spring, and then the same kind of direction of the rubs I saw back here, I would have been okay. I did see those, I think it was 4 does and fawns, maybe 3. They ended up getting downwind and kind of going the other direction. They were coming right for me. I don't know where they come from, no clue. Had a big flock of turkeys behind me. Had some owls going at it, which was pretty cool. I don't hear a lot of owls back home. I hear very, very few. And then after I'd already put the camera away and was taking my stand down, the coyotes got fired up too. So we got to see a little bit of everything. As far as a game plan for in the morning, unless I have some kind of epiphany, I just don't feel like I know enough yet to go in the morning and set up without daylight. So I think what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna do kind of what I did this morning and wait till gray light, or wait till, I was way after gray light this morning, but I may wait till gray light in the morning and then kind of still hunt and scout an area, and then I may come back here in the evening, may come here in the morning, I don't know. But I think what I'm going to start doing in the next couple days in the mornings is go in there at daylight and treat it as a still hunt, and then if I get on some really good sign, I may set up on the ground for a little bit, just carry my film and stuff in backpack. I had that camera arm set up on a tree on the ground this morning, and it worked out pretty well. So I may do that. I'm gonna look at the maps and see what I can figure out. One thing about this place here is it's kind of a blessing and a curse. I've got so much ground I can hunt, like so much. I could hunt probably a different area for the next 14 days or however long I'm here, and that kind of makes it tough, especially when a lot of the stuff I'm looking at is pretty similar as far as sign goes. I don't particularly like just hunting these open hardwoods and hardwood ridges, which I was kind of backed up against a little thicket, but makes it tough. But we'll I'll keep you updated. I gotta get some videos edited at some point. We got 2 days now, but it just takes some time, and that's not something I've had a lot of these first 2 days. I've been really behind on sleep since I got here. Worked a lot before I came, so I feel already run down, and it's only been 2 days. So I'll update you on what I decide to do in the morning.